What's up, guys? Panic here, otherwise known as Panic Picnic. Today, I've had a little bit of extra free time. I watched some YouTube because, just what I do, and I came across a Kripparrian video on Hearthstone. Now, I do not claim to be a Hearthstone expert. I don't have that full-fledged much of experience, but I have experience in other games, especially Blizzard-related, like StarCraft, WoW, and all these other ones. And also played a bunch of card games myself back in the days with Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and so I've at least got some aspect of Hearthstone. One thing that Kripparrian did bring up was, especially that he was talking about like cards and decks that Blizzard should nerf. More specifically, he was really talking about Quest Rogue and how it should be just completely removed. Like it should just be completely deleted. Now, I actually completely disagree. Now, this again is coming from a guy who doesn't have that much Hearthstone experience. I mean, it doesn't have that much comparatively to Kripparrian. Now, the reason why I'm going to disagree is especially like what he was saying. I know he like Quest Rogue, in his words, that were great against a control style deck, and when it goes up against a control style deck, it's got about an 80% win rate. Now, when it goes up against an aggro deck, he said the lowest was about 15%. Now, when you're playing a card game, like a card-based game, and I'm just going to compare this again with just something similar. I mean, actually different. I'm going to compare it to StarCraft. Now, when you're playing a deck building game, like if you just go in and just go, oh, I'm going to build let's just say I'm going to go build a quest. I'm going to go build a Quest Rogue. Now, the Quest Rogue is designed to combat a set strategy ahead of time. If the meta is controlling, well, Quest Rogue will excel. If it's going to be full-fledged aggro, like if you're just running Paladin, if you're running Warlock, like full aggro Warlock against it, the Quest Rogue will most likely lose. And that's just a predetermined thing. It's not really much as like a card flip because we have 30 cards. Like, if I build a deck that only really resolves around one-drop minions, well, what are some things that I'm going to have? Like, what are some initial problems I'm going to have? Well, I'm going to have probably a full-fledged board of of minions that are easy to wipe. Well, I'm going to be weak against things that have board clear. Well, that's just what I'm going to be weak against. That's the type of deck I'm playing. I'm playing a one-drop deck. I'm going in it going, I know what I'm going to be weak against. That being said, it's not like, let's go ahead and compare it to something like I said, to StarCraft. Now, Hearthstone can't be balanced the way StarCraft can be. And the reason why I'm saying that is, it's really about builds. There's different varieties, there's different timings, there's different everything. I mean, besides the fact of scouting and knowing what your opponent is doing, you can go, hey, I'm going to change my strategy mid-game. Go, you know what? I'm going to go air, but you know what? This isn't going to work. I need to switch into something different. My opponent has nothing but missile turrets. My opponent has nothing but spore crawlers, or anything around those walls. Well, I don't think air is a really good idea. Maybe I should go switch into ground. Or I could just use air for harass. Like, it doesn't become a major component of your deck, or a major component of your strategy. Because you'd always go, that's not working. I don't want to spend the resources into it. With Hearthstone, you really can't. Like, if I'm building a deck that is really controlling, I'm most likely going to lose against something that's like that would hard counter it. It's just generic. Also, a big thing that he mentioned was cards revolving around Baku. Now, Baku, if you guys hopefully know by now, is a garbage 9-drop, according to him. Start of the game, if your deck has only odd cost cards, upgrade your hero power. Now, I actually really like Baku, and I'm actually really proud of Blizzard putting Baku into the game. The main reason why is because it allows for more deck variety. While yes, you can go for, like, especially if we're just going to go with a regular Paladin. I mean, let's just go for a regular Priest. But if we're just going to go for a regular Priest deck, this is the deck I made that is completely based around Baku. Like I said, it revolves mainly around Thought Steal and stealing the enemy's cards and just basically just having a little bit of fun. Now, that being said, let's look at the different Priest build that they have used. This is more of like an inner fire based build. Like, It's got Glitter Moth. It's got Shala the Sun Shard. It has all of these really good cards. Well, yes, it does have a couple of aspects similar to mine. It's not exactly identical. And the same thing could be said with a warrior. I play more of a quest warrior that revolves around getting the quest and just building up a whole lot of taunts and stuff like that. But if you go, I believe it's the Gimleus Armory, this is a little bit different. While yes, certain cards are different, it's got a little bit more of a, it's got some like rush base and a little bit of the other cards that are already, it's because it's like a pre-deck. And that's where I'm saying, like, it provides a little bit more variety. It's like, yes, there is, I can only use 1-drops. What am I going to use? Should I use Hearthpone? Or should I use all these other ones and go, this is the build I want, that's the build I want, that's the build I want. Or should I just try to make my own? I say it adds at least a little more variety and fun, especially if I don't have those type of cards. I at least have one card that can help boost me up. And you go, well, Panic, that means the card's kind of broken. I mean, it means it's kind of broken if I do Paladin and I get 2 1-drops instead of 1, or just if I do Priest, I heal for 4. If I do Warrior, I'm going to generate 4 armor instead of just 2, and it just changes the aspect of it. We're like, well, that's overpowered. What do I do? Well, let's go ahead and look at Paladin. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and create more of a custom deck. Let's go ahead and let's take this out. And we're going to do crafting because I don't have the full cards. Now, like I said, I am not the best Hearthstone player in the entire world, but we can at least go over a few of these cards. A lot of these right here are really 1-drops, and like some of these are meant to just like to slow it down. Like most of these are secrets. Summon 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. We have Divine Shield Taunt. We have Quest. Like, I mean, we can't use these. We can't use Equality. Which, if we could use Equality in a 2/2 in a Baku Paladin, this would be broken. Like, just the removal of Equality makes Paladin, like, it makes it a little more balanced. Set a minion's attack and health to 3. Well, you don't get that. Add 3 Silverhand Recruits to your hand. Guess what? You don't get that either. You're missing a whole lot of these 2-drops, like even you're missing Echo, you're missing Rebuke, you're missing all of these cards that can really counter. Like, Rebuke would be great in a Baku Paladin deck. Main reason why is, guess what? You play Rebuke, guess what? You remove a lot of what the enemy's board clear in terms of spells. And especially if you're like Parafilm Champion, like that would be pretty good in it too. But what do you have? You have Aldor Peacekeeper. You have, at the end of your turn, restore 3 health to your hero. Like, just something to keep you in the game. You also have maybe draw a Divine Shield minion. Yes, you have Unidentified Maul, and you're getting Sword of Justice. But these really just boost your 1/1s. It's basically built around just using your hero powers and the 1/1. But, like I said, what do we fully remove? We remove Call to Arms to fully swarm the board. Remove the ability to adapt our Silverhand Recruits. Remove, after friendly minion. But what do we get? We get, let's see, do we get anything really good? Nope. I mean, what are you going to do? Holy Wrath? You can't do that. That's not very good. You get Level Up, which again, boosts your Silverhand Recruits. Prince Liam? Doubtful. What do you get? Avenging Wrath? No! This is a board clear that you don't get. You don't have any board clears. What is this? Whenever heroes heal, do that much damage to a random minion? Don't even get that. Don't even get, what? Divine Shield costs 1 less for each Silverhand Recruit you control. Don't even get a Crystal Lion. Don't get this one. You're missing a lot of, like, the biggest thing I'm trying to put forward is, while yes, you are getting cards. I mean, you are getting good cards around a Baku Paladin deck. Like, you're getting Vine Cleaver, which is a good 7/7. After a 7-drop, after your hero attacks, summon 2 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. Then you pop your hero power. For 9 mana, you have an entire board, really. That's 4. You don't get Silver Sword. After your hero attacks, give your minions 1/1. You don't really get anything that fully boosts you. I mean, yes, you can turn around and go through the Lightbringer, but you're not really getting, like, if you go for a Baku deck, you have limitations that can be countered. Well, what do you lose with a Baku deck on a Baku Paladin? Well, you lose if you have no board. What are you gonna board with? 1/1s against what? A freaking giant taunt minion? you have to spend spells, you have to spend all of these, you have to spend a lot of resources to really make it great. And that's one of the biggest limitations of it, is you lose all of these board clears. Now, let's go ahead and go more into, like I said, let's just go back to Priest, because I believe he did mention Priest as well. Let's just go ahead and talk about limitations of a Baku Priest. Let's go back into crafting. Well, like I said, you're only using odd cost cards. Well, you're not getting Circle of Healing, you're not getting Silences, which kind of sucks. But again, what do you get? You're getting a bunch of Inner Fires, which, yes, you can go for an Inner Fire based build, like change a minion's attack equal to its health, like constantly boost up that way. Or you can go for, like how I'm going, is like going for more of a stealing based deck. I mean, I've got that option, but I'm also losing certain things with it. Well, when you go for a Baku based deck, when you go for a Baku Paladin based deck, you're losing certain things that are very, that can add at least a little bit of quality of life. Granted, priests and paladins normally get better cards than rogues and other things. You can't go for a full-based dragon-based deck. You can't go for a full-based light spawn deck, which would be completely and utterly broken if you could go for a light spawn with a Baku Paladin deck. You go for Identified Elixir, which is always pretty good. You can't do Arcanial Souls Priest. This again would be really broken with a Baku Priest. You lose out on all of your silences. Silence an enemy minion. Silence all enemy minions. Draw a card. Silence a minion. Like, you're losing a lot of that as well. You also gain control of an enemy minion with 3 or less attack until these turns. You're losing a lot of really good cards as well. Yes, you're getting a lot of really good cards that can also help boost you out, boost you in a certain way, but you're missing a lot of quality of life. And like I said, you can't really move some of these ladies in whites, which is, again, a really good card. Now, the biggest thing I would have to say, if while he did bring up a good point in terms of card balances and basically card balances, I think the only thing Blizzard really needs to take into account is not so much how the meta is now, because, like I said, this is a new expansion with the Witchwood. It has only been out a few weeks. In some expansions, even if you go for other games or even this one, it takes a while to fully develop what's good and what's really bad. Also, you have to assume we don't fully know where this game is actually really being balanced at. Is it being balanced at the full-fledged legend level? Is it being balanced at just the commoner free-to-play level like myself? And that can and it's like, what are you trying to fully fix? Are you trying to what is Blizzard trying to fully balance? Are they trying to balance it to make it more fun in terms of competitive, or just like because it is a competitive based game? You got to at least consider a lot of this. Also, this is a card-based game. It is super hard to balance more than anything. One thing that Kripparrian mentioned that I really enjoyed him mentioning was the fact that it is so hard, especially with a Baku-based deck. It's like, what are you going to balance with a Baku deck? You're really just getting that hero power. So the only thing you can really balance is the hero power. And yes, you can go, well, no one really uses the upgraded hero power because there's only a few cards that are even able to, that allow you to access that. And he's like, well, what if I just did a 1-3? What if I just did something like this? I'm like what if I just did a 1-3, a 3-1 Silverhand Recruit, just make it super good? I'm like, that again still has its own limitations and its own problems that you have to fully rebalance. Yes, Baku decks already have their limitations, but again, if you have a 3-1 Silverhand Recruit, what exactly, you're already countering a big thing of the Baku based deck. Well, you got a 3-1, which is a really big minion. You only allowed cards that really summon only 1/1s, and you've got a 3 power minion that you're going to summon every so often. Might as well just protect him with secrets. Might as well throw a taunt in there. Like, again, it's like, it's got a little bit more broken if you just look at it in that way. Like, this again is a card game. You can't, the only time Blizzard should fully ever balance a deck, should ever fully balance or remove a card. Like, and what I mean by like fully balance or remove a card is if we're just going to go to the Hall of Fame, for instance, go ahead and pull up crafting so that we have everything accessed. Let's go ahead and look at the cards that are in Hall of Fame. We have Ice Lance. Freeze a character if it was already frozen, deal 4 damage instead. Why was this one really removed? Well, we have oh goodness, the Mage Legendary. This is a good one-drop to just fill your entire hand with fireballs. Why was Ice Block in there? Well, it's just not fun. You can't really do anything about it. You can run secret eaters, and that's really about it. Once someone's played Ice Block or has two, I mean, there's nothing you can really do. Then what are they going to do? They're going to throw in an Alexstrasza and just run out the game. Like, that's the really big problem with some of these cards. Like, it leads, like, especially with this Ice Lance one, is this was a really good priest thing. Like, it was just fantastic. Same with Ice Block. It allows the priest, I mean the mage, to just constantly keep doing it. It's like, if I get Ice Block, if I make a mage deck at all, Ice Block is going to be in that deck. In every single mage deck, it doesn't matter. That is something the opponent will have to deal with. Again, if we go for Rogue, give your minion stealth until next turn. And this could probably be more so for an easy spell, or to give for the oh my god, the Gazistan Auctioneer, which was again a really good combo to just constantly keep going through your deck. Then we have Warlock, give a minion 4/4 until the end of turn, then it dies horribly. This is just really good. Like, in general, with if it's just got a bunch of 1-drops, this is just a really good card, and I can understand pulling out some of these. Now, if we're going to go into more of like I'm not going to go for all of them, like I said. Some of these are just, in my opinion, why they were removed. And even some of them just based off like their hero powers and stuff like that. For instance, if we're just arguing based off the silence-based meta we're in, then why not? Then why is Sylvanas removed? Well, all I would have to do is just silence Sylvanas, and then I don't have to deal with it. I would actually disagree. For one of the reasons why I see Sylvanas was removed, and the reasons why I see some of these cards being removed, is when Blizzard was playing these cards. Pre their expansion, even Ben Brode had mentioned that they are about 3 full-fledged expansions ahead. Like, by the time they finished Witchwood, they were already ready to release another expansion. Like, they have thought this out months and years ahead of time. They already know, Blizzard already knows what they're going to do. Well, you've got Sylvanas. This, outside of her Death Rattle being really good at the time, I think with all of the Death Rattle-based play that we have seen, there's a reason Sylvanas was removed. You throw a Sylvanas on the field, you activate the Death Rattle a few times for free, like trigger minions Death Rattle, trigger minions Death Rattle. Heck, you can even just cube Sylvanas and have more Sylvanas Death Rattles. Like, there's a reason she was really removed. Ragnaros, I'm a little disappointed in because Ragnaros was just fun. But again, I can understand why Ragnaros was removed. Again, you just play him, and that's really all you can really do. Again, Azure Drake is just a really good card. But, like, the only reason some of these cards should, like, any card should ever be put into the Hall of Fame, or ever nerfed, is if it is honestly just the key perpetrator. It's got to be the main problem, like the Fiery War Axe with Warrior. There was a reason that was removed. It was just that good of a card. It wasn't for the fact that it was played all the time to balance the way of play. No, it was a great 2-drop. You get that, you're pretty much already on the board, and you're going to most likely win. That's pretty much what Pirate was. I mean, what Warrior was. There's also changes that they've already made, like to Warrior on some of their older cards. A big one that comes to mind is that Blizzard has changed is the Warsong Commander. Your charge minions have +1 attack, and this was to prevent it. You play a Warsong Commander, it would immediately give all your minions charge, and you just play Patron, and then you spin, and then you win. Like, there's nothing you could have done. You play Warsong Commander and a Patron, and you got a Whirlwind, and then you pretty much just already have won the game. The Warsong Commander was honestly just that good, and if you combine it with other cards that either Blizzard has already previously released or are going to release, there's most likely a reason it was put in there as well. Also, like I said, this you have to depend on what this game is really balanced around. Is it balanced around a competitive play? Well, let's say a competitive play a few years ago was to just play a certain style of warrior. Hey, I'm going to always get that 4+ hero power. Well, let me just go ahead and remove some, or I'm just going to remove a card or something to make it at least a little more variety, to make warrior have a little bit more flexibility. Now, that being said, I think it's a little too early to still judge the Witchwood for what it really is. I think the Witchwood still has a lot of potential, I think the biggest thing holding the Witchwood expansion back, and I would say this about every expansion for making a huge monumental change to Hearthstone, and the same in pretty much every card game, is really we're all stuck with the same thing. If we build a deck, if we build a pirate deck, like a pirate warrior deck, we're like, I want to still keep a pirate warrior deck. If you build a murloc deck, I want to keep my murloc deck. This is already a good deck. It was good in the last expansion. What can I do to make it better? It's still too early, like, to fully, like, counter a deck. We're like, we don't want to make full-fledged changes. And that's just how we are as people. A big thing, however, I will definitely mention is what Blizzard needs to do about legendaries. Now, this is something I would like to mention. I don't think anyone has really mentioned. Is just the impact that legendary minions have on the game of Hearthstone and how they're constantly increasing power-wise, where these cards, instead of being cards that accent your deck and can fully help your deck, you can build a card around a legendary minion, and that's what I think is a little like iffy. Main things that can come to mind for me is, let's just take Warlock for example. The skull. Let's go and talk about this. At the end of your turn, summon a demon from your hand. This is a great card. Well, yes, it does. When you do play this, you're typically forced. Well, really, you're just forced into a demon-based deck, and so you know what you're going up against. And when you combine it with cubes and other things, there's a reason why this card is good. Like, there's a reason why this card is good. If you look at Rogue, we can see that things have changed. Edwin Van Cleef, it used to just be an okay based. It just used to be an okay legendary combo game, +2/+2 for every other card you play this turn. Like, it's not really, like, it just accents your deck. But then if you just compare it with some other legendary-based cards that Warrior has, legendary, boom. What are we going to compare it with? King's Bane is really good. We're going to compare it to Tess, which is pretty good as well. We can compare it to the Sonya Shadow Dancer, which is pretty good as well. And even the Valera the Hollow, which is really good. Granted, these are hero-based cards, and there's a reason these costs, the card's cost is so high because of what value it brings. But again, Blizzard needs to take a little bit more care in how they operate around legendaries. Big things that come to mind in particular is if you look at Akira the Windlord, which is what we really started with. Charge, Divine Shield, Taunt, Wind Fury. Just an okay card, maybe just buff it up a bit. You got Thrall, Deathseer, transform your minions to random ones. This was an evolve-based mechanic that they were trying to push for Shaman. Well, now what do we have with Shaman that's pretty good? Well, we have Hagatha the Witch, and we've now got Shudderwalk. Battle Cry. You repeat all battle cries from cards you've played this game. Targets chosen randomly. And that card is just broken. Like, it's just stupid. You gotta build you can easily build a deck around it. And that's what I think is really the biggest problem with Hearthstone. It's more than anything, especially when it revolves around legendary-based cards. Like, it's no longer that certain lower level cards can fully, like, complete a deck. You actually need a legendary to do well. If you, like, back in the day, for Grommash Hellscream, it used to just be okay. I mean, yes, it was a great card that could easily finish the game. Well, now what do we have? Well, we have Fireplume's Heart. Again, these are quest-based, and I understand. And then you've got Gyroscope Yip, or you have Scourgelord Grommash, which are, again, pretty good. These are good cards that, again, they need to at least take a little bit more care in terms of how they handle legendaries. And, like, a big thing that comes to mind that can fully set, like, make or break, really, is Dr. Boom, more than anything. If you looked at, if you were playing Hearthstone at the time, Dr. Boom was everywhere. Dr. Boom was just the legendary you had to have. I mean, even if at this one you have your Prince. If your deck has no 2-cost cards, give all your minions in your deck 1/1. Like, some of these cards are better than others, but some of these cards are just flat great in terms of legendaries. Like with Blood Mage Thanalos, even though it isn't a classic set, is still really, really good. And that's why I say, like, even if you look at Gren Greymane, like, I understand this is more of like the even odd-based cards from the hero power, similar with Baku. But even if we look at Illidan Storm Rage, like, there's a reason some of these cards just flat out don't see play. And some really, really do. And like, that's what I think is like the biggest problem more than anything, is just like some of the legendaries need to be at least be toned down. But again, I think Blizzard more than anything knows about this. That being said, like I said, it's a little too early in my opinion to fully analyze how good the Witchwood is. I think it's too early to see if it has a huge impact on the meta. It has not been out that long. I mean, we're not even 2 months in. Like, just give it a minute. Something's gonna happen. Someone's gonna find something, or we're gonna see something out of deck. Also, a big thing that when it comes down to about things always being stagnant, especially when it comes down to legendary-based builds. I mean, when you go into high legend or when you're just starting to climb, like, that's just to be expected. What cards are meta? What cards, like, hey, Firebat said these cards are good. Guess what? I'm gonna play them. Freaking Disguised Toast says this card is good. Guess what? I'm gonna play it. Trump says, Kripparrian says, some Day 9 says, I'm gonna play the cards they're playing. And that's what's really gonna just, like, stagnate it. And again, these cards are always gonna have counters, and it's almost impossible to balance. Like, that's really the biggest problem, is it's going to be it's impossible to balance when it comes down to the cards like that. That being said, my name is Panic Picnic. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what I do here. Other than that, I will see you guys at the picnic table. Bye!